Imagine looking at your financials and seeing a sudden 18% growth spike. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate success. However, revenue generates headlines, while predictable cash flow is what actually builds value. When a potential buyer sees that same 18% jump, they don't immediately celebrate. They approach it with a layer of deep skepticism. As the key insight here notes, a buyer is not paying for your best month. They are paying for confidence. That confidence is only possible if you can prove the profit is real, repeatable, and transferable to a new owner. That 18% growth spike remains an unverified data point until it can survive a buyer's rigorous stress test. The first layer of a buyer's financial audit involves stepping back and comparing recent performance against a strict 3-year profitability trend. This graph shows a long-term downward trend interrupted by a single sharp spike at the end. Evaluating a recent jump in a vacuum is misleading without plotting it against this kind of historical context. A wider view reveals whether you're looking at a temporary fluke or a permanent shift in the company's earning potential. Once the trend is established, the audit moves to evaluating cash conversion and working capital. Cash conversion measures how quickly sales turn into spendable money. You could post 18% growth on paper, but if that money is trapped in unpaid accounts receivable, you have no actual cash. There is also the risk of working capital. A surge in sales might require massive investments into inventory just to keep up, draining your reserves in the process. If recent growth simultaneously depletes a company's cash, it becomes a liability to a buyer, reducing the business's overall valuation. The third layer needed to explain that 18% spike is examining the quality of those earnings and the stability of the margins. To prove the growth is real, an owner must recast normalized earnings monthly, revealing the true baseline health of the operation. Recasting involves systematically stripping away owner add-backs, anomalies, and one-time costs to reveal the core operational health. Valuable revenue scales efficiently. Margin stability means the company maintains or improves its profit margins as it takes on new volume. If profit margins fluctuate during a growth spurt and the owner cannot explain why, buyer confidence collapses. Recasting is the only way to separate an unrepeatable fluke from the true economic engine driving that 18% surge. By surviving an audit of historical trends, cash conversion, and normalized earnings, the 18% spike transitions from a potential illusion to a verified reality. Passing this test proves the profit is transferable, meaning a new owner can reliably step in and reap the same rewards. This leads to the final hurdle. Could a buyer verify your profit without relying on your explanation? If a buyer has to rely on your verbal promises rather than objective financial documents, the business loses value. They are looking for data, not a pitch. High revenue might get you to the negotiating table, but heavily scrutinized, predictable cash flow is what closes the deal. A sudden growth spike is just a number on a page until the raw data can independently guarantee that the business's most profitable days are still ahead.